So Nolan, if I told you, go back to Livonia if you don't like it here in Detroit, what would your reaction be?
Oh, I'd get in my car and go. It's a nice place.
But the president says that women of color who represent people now in Congress should go back to, quote, the countries they came from.
Those four
fix
specific
the problem,
women is who he's
fix the
talking
problems
about.
in their, quote unquote, countries. Of course, 3 of them are from the United States, even though they're from
They're
immigrant
all
families.
four American citizens. Anybody with half a brain should have known when he typed that out not to send it. So you can't, it's hard to imagine what his intention was there. I mean, he had to know the reaction he was going to get. And those 4 Congresswomen, Rashida Tlaib, Ilham Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Alexandra Cortez, should send him a collective check for boosting their campaign.
Well,
they were on their ropes the days before that because of their feud with Nancy Pelosi. Democrats
inside the Democratic Party.
Democrats were furious with him for calling her a racist and a sexist. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Donald Trump in the middle of the night and rescues them. Yeah. And now Democrats have united behind them. This feud that was disrupting the Democratic Party and Republicans were enjoying so much is now over. They're heroes again in the Democratic in the party. And that's what Trump has always done. If you look what was going on with Trump in the week or two before this, his popularity had hit an all-time high. He was on a roll, and he just can't stand success.
Yeah.
And
well,
he just
can't
stand.
keep his mouth shut.
He can't keep his mouth shut
he has
at
no
all.
impulse
but
control.
It's almost. I mean, it almost seems calculated. It happens because I said to myself last week. I said it on the air on my radio show. You know, Trump's popularity reached new high. Watch what he does now to destroy himself, because it happens every time.
So the other dimension of this that's, I think, quite troubling is the trouble that Republicans have, especially elected Republicans, calling this out and just being upfront about the fact that there isn't an excuse for this. There isn't a way to explain it away. This is racism. This is the kind of racism that that has defined political discourse for a really long time on that side of the aisle. And Republicans, their future has to include a plan to get votes from brown people and black people, and they're not.
And a good number of Republicans have called him out and called him out. I mean, it was more than some.
48 hours later.
You had, you've had a good number, including some that might surprise you. Paul Mitchell in Macomb County, Trump country, said this is unacceptable. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. You had a number of Republicans, prominent Republicans, have said, but
they stop short of saying it's racist, and that's really problematic for I think black and brown people.
And I think they stop that because they don't know what's in his head or in his heart. They know what the words certainly sounded racist, but this is a guy who says crazy things. I mean, I think it's enough to say it's a despicable, really unacceptable statement by a president. You don't have to pass any further judgment on that. It's
I think the context of
the judgment of it and the expression of it is bad enough. Who knows what's motivating Donald Trump?
The problem is the historical context of that phrase. Go back to.
And as I said in the beginning, anybody should have known better.
And often that comes in advance of sticks or nooses or crosses.
But when you asked the,
and I think you got to call that out that
and
way.
they did. When you call,
but you got to call it racist.
When you put a microphone in front of a Republican and say, what do you think of the governor's, the president's statement, and they say, well, it's a despicable statement. We condemn it. Then beat him to death. Well, is it this? Is it racist? Is it homophobic? Is it misogynistic?
Well, what's the problem with calling it racist?
There's almost an attempt there to lump everybody in with the president's statement. You don't see that happening to Democrats every time a Democrat made a stupid statement. They didn't have to answer for these four's anti-Semitism.
Anytime Louis Farrakhan says anything, every black person gets asked, what do you think about that? What's the difference?
When these four were making anti-Semitic statements, you didn't have people coming up and sticking
asking
microphone
Nancy Pelosi
in
to say stuff about
every
it?
Democrat.
Absolutely they did.
Do you think this is anti-Semitic? They couldn't pass a resolution to do it when they put it before Congress. It's not just Republicans who cover their political fannies. I mean, these people are running for office.
What's the political cover in covering for a racist? That's the thing I don't think I understand.
There are people in the Republican base who are not going to turn against the president. They're running in Republican primaries. You're asking them to do something you don't ask Democrats to do.
Well, and I think Democrats do get asked to do it. They just don't do
Democrats had a chance to pass the anti-Semitism resolution and punted on it.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of reasons that resolution was not something they were going to pass. It doesn't mean they're in favor of anti-Semitism.
And there may be a lot of reasons people aren't going to say, well, the Republican president's a racist if they're a Republican.
Well, I think that's going to ultimately cost them.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's who would have thought he could have won the last time with the help of a lot of people who weren't Republicans.
That's true. He didn't win. He was selected. But we got to move on to quickly talk about roads, which continues to hold up the state budget, and of course continues to leave the rest of us, bumping around with no idea that things are going to get better.
Except, I mean, if you've noticed, there are a lot of orange barrels out, and a lot.
Well, we are
work
spending more
going,
now, right?
We're spending a lot more, something on the order of almost $1 billion more since
From
2015
16 or 15, right? Yeah.
And so, I think it might be time to pause and assess again, what do we really need? Because it's very clear Governor Whitmer is not going to get the $2.5 billion from a road tax she asked for. That proposal hasn't even been offered. How Democrats put a proposal that didn't even include a road tax. Yeah. Republicans are out there with a bill that has very curious funding formula to it. This idea of bonding out the pensions. It's a kind of a high risk proposal. So, maybe it's time to assess what can we really spend? How much can we really spend? Because we've got 30 projects going on now.
Yeah, no, you got a lot going on.
We need 100.
We need a lot more.
But can we do them?
I think the real question is, does this push us past the budget deadline, which we haven't seen happen in a really long time in Michigan? And I think there is a little bit of a play by Republicans to maybe try to embarrass this new governor by saying, see, you have a Democrat in office, we can't get the budget done.
I'm not sure that holds up when you don't have, when her own caucus isn't putting a proposal.
They aren't supporting her either.
So,
right?
no, you can blame Republicans solely for this. I think it goes up to the deadline. This is the latest. I believe in 8 years we haven't had a budget.
If we get to August, it will be.
If we get to August, and we're going to get to August.